My name is Maya. I'm a qualified accountant and I've spent over the last decade of my career within accounting and finance. But even with my professional background, I had fallen into some bad money habits that were holding me back. It wasn't until I recognized these habits and replaced them with good ones that I was finally able to start growing my wealth. And I'm here to share how you can do the same. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 7 of the most common bad money habits and how you can swap them out for better ones. Let's dive in. First up is not having a plan. We've all heard the old saying, failing to plan is planning to fail. Well, this applies to our finances too. Having a budget is like having a personal GPS for your finances. Without it, you're pretty much driving blindly. Just like you wouldn't go on a road trip without your GPS, you don't want to go through life without having a budget to guide your spending and saving. Not having a budget or some sort of spending plan is a bad money habit that can easily lead you to spending more than you earn. Not only will this habit stop you from building wealth, you might end up taking a detour through a land of debt or find yourself stuck on a street full of missed opportunities and stress. And we don't want that. You can break this habit by creating a simple budget for yourself. There are various different budgeting tactics, which I've covered in a video that I will link somewhere over here. But however you decide to budget, know that it doesn't need to be anything fancy. It just needs to work for you and get the job done. As someone that works with numbers all day, in my early to mid 20s, I can tell you the last thing I wanted to do is think about my personal budget. It sounded about as exciting as watching paint dry, and so I just used to wing it. But now seeing the positive impact budgeting has had not only on my finances, but also on my mental health, I actually look forward to it, and it's become something I do as part of my lifestyle and self-care. I spend about 20 minutes every week on a date with my budget over a cup of tea or a glass of wine, and I make sure I stay on track. Whatever the reason that's held you back from budgeting, once you get going and start seeing and feeling the impact it can have, believe me, it will be so worth it. Number 2 on our list is paying yourself last. Many people, in fact 60% of Americans, fall into the trap of paying themselves last. This means as soon as they receive their paycheck, they use it to pay their bills and all their expenses first, and then they save what's left over. The problem with this is, there's usually nothing left over. If this sounds familiar to you, there's nothing wrong with you. It's how our brains are programmed. There's scientific research that shows our brains have a natural bias towards instant gratification, making it hard to prioritize long-term goals like saving. To avoid self-sabotage, what you want to do is pay yourself first instead. The principle of paying yourself first essentially means saving and investing a portion of your income before paying your bills and expenses. After you have your budget set up and know how much you can afford to save and invest, the easiest way to pay yourself first is to automate it. By setting up automatic transfers from your checking account to your saving and investing accounts, you'll make sure a portion of your income goes towards your financial goals before you've had the chance to spend it on other things. It's a solid hack that will keep you on track towards achieving your financial goals. Now, I will say, when I first started applying this strategy, I actually hit another mental hurdle. Honestly, at the start, I almost felt some degree of guilt or shame with paying myself first. Reflecting on it now, I think I felt this way because in a lot of cultures, especially as women, we're conditioned to believe that putting our own needs first is selfish. As someone coming from a culture that I love and where we think as a collective, it took me a long time to understand that paying yourself first doesn't mean you're neglecting your responsibilities or your loved ones. It simply means you're making yourself a priority so that you can achieve your financial goals and create a better life for yourself and those around you. By taking control over your finances and making a conscious effort to save and invest, you can reduce stress and worry about money, feel more secure about your future, and even have more resources to help those you love and those in need. And that is a beautiful thing. Your money mindset is really important, and you should never feel guilty or ashamed about prioritizing your own financial well-being. In the end, the only way that you can truly, wholeheartedly, and abundantly show up for others is if you take care of yourself first. You deserve to achieve your financial goals and live a fulfilling life, and paying yourself first can help you get there. Next up is not having an emergency fund. Life is full of surprises, and unfortunately, not all of them are good. From unexpected medical bills to car breakdowns, emergencies can happen to anyone at any time. While it's impossible to predict when they will occur, one thing is for sure. you'll need to be financially prepared. Without an emergency fund, you may struggle to cover unexpected expenses and be forced to rely on credit cards or other high-interest debt. This can quickly spiral out of control, leaving you in a difficult financial situation. To avoid this, it's important to give yourself a financial cushion to fall back on. Experts recommend saving 3 to 6 months of expenses to cover your basic needs, such as rent, utilities, and groceries. But remember, everyone's situation is different, so you may need to save more depending on your circumstances. For instance, if you have dependents or a less predictable income, it'd be wise to have a larger emergency fund. Personally, I have 9 months of expenses saved up, but I know people with up to 12 to 18 months tucked away. It's also recommended to keep this money in a high-yield savings account, so it's both easily accessible and earning a higher interest rate than a regular savings account. Having an emergency fund can be life-changing. When unexpected things happen in your life, your emergency fund will help reduce financial worry and let you focus on the issue at hand. I would say it's one of the best ways you can show up for yourself. Next up, we have carrying high interest debt. Carrying high interest debt is a bad money habit that is one of the biggest threats to your financial health. Debt is an issue that affects millions of people worldwide, and it's not hard to understand why. Most of us don't learn about money and things like how to manage credit cards at home or in school, and so it's very easy to find ourselves in debt without even realizing it. On top of that, credit card companies and other lenders often make it very easy for us to borrow money, sometimes without us fully understanding the terms of the agreement. And what's worse is that they want us to fail, because when we do, that's how they make money. So if you find yourself here, know that it's okay to make money mistakes. We all do. What's important is that you take steps to gain control of the situation. High interest debt refers to any debt with an interest rate over about 6 to 7%. Examples include credit cards, payday loans, and personal loans. Since this type of debt can quickly snowball out of control, paying off high interest debt should be a top priority for anyone looking to improve their financial situation. There are many resources you can refer to that talk about different tactics to paying off debt. I will also be making a video on this, so keep an eye out for that. The next common bad money habit is delaying investing. There are many reasons why people are hesitant to start investing. Perhaps you don't know where to begin, or maybe you feel like you don't have a lot of money to spare. Maybe you're worried about the risks involved, or you simply don't think it's worth the effort. Whatever the reason, it's important to realize that delaying investing is a mistake that can cost you dearly in the long run. In fact, generation after generation, one of the greatest financial regrets we all share is not getting started with investing earlier in life. And when you look at the numbers, you can understand why. The earlier you start investing, you maximize the time your money has to grow due to a beautiful thing called compound interest. Delaying investing even a few years can significantly impact the size of your nest egg. In fact, delaying investing by 10 years will mean you will need to save approximately 2 times as much every month just to catch up. For example, investing $50 a week starting at age 18 can lead to millionaire status by age 65. But if you delay investing until age 30, you'll need to invest $125 a week to achieve the same result. The sooner you start, the less you'll have to invest, and the easier it will be to reach your financial goals. In the end, you can't save your way to riches. You'll need to find ways to make your money work for you, and investing responsibly is one of the best ways to do this. Next up, we have keeping up with the Joneses. Let's face it, we live in a material world. The pressure to keep up with the Joneses is all around us, and it's easy to get caught up in the game. The latest gadgets, designer clothes, and luxurious lifestyles are heavily promoted, tempting us to indulge in endless consumerism. When we get tricked into believing that we need those things to be happy and successful, this can take us down a dangerous financial path. Remember, there will always be someone with the latest gadget, someone strutting the latest season's clothing, and someone with a bigger home and a nicer car. Keeping up or trying to fit in isn't just exhausting. It can lead us to making irrational money decisions like spending money you don't have, to buy things you don't need, to impress people you don't even like. This habit can put our financial stability at risk and distract us from achieving our long-term financial goals. But it's not just our financial well-being that's at stake. Our emotional and mental well-being can take a hit too. You see, when we live like this, we end up basing our self-worth on the things we own and the image we portray. And this can lead us to feelings of dissatisfaction, inadequacy, and low self-esteem. Now, I'm not saying that you don't deserve nice things. As long as you're spending within your budget, I believe it doesn't matter what you spend on. What I am saying is spend on the things that are important to you and add fulfillment and happiness to your life. If you find yourself caught up with keeping up, the first step is to pause and reassess your priorities. Ask yourself what truly brings you happiness and fulfillment, and what values you want to live by. Once you have a clear understanding of these things, you can build a budget based on your values and goals, and you can begin to make more intentional choices about your spending and your lifestyle. Now, remember what I said about our brains having a natural bias towards instant gratification? Well, you're going to have to train your inner voice to rebel against that. If you really want to create a change, you're going to have to commit to it. When I'm tempted to spend, one thing that helps me is to practice gratitude and contentment. Instead of focusing on what I don't have, I consciously take time to appreciate what I do have. This stops me from comparing myself to others, helps me feel more positive about where I'm at, and keeps me on track to achieving my goals. As for comparing yourself to others, don't forget that social media feeds are just the front cover of a complex novel. There's a reason why they tell us never to judge a book by its cover. We're all complex beings, and you never know what someone's reality is, so stop judging your life based on someone else's highlights. Instead, let's focus on writing our own stories. And finally on our list we have not talking about money. Money is something that affects all of us, yet it's a topic that many of us avoid talking about. But here's the thing, ignoring your finances won't make them any better. That's why it's so important to talk about money and surround yourself with people that have good money habits. When you open up about your finances, you can learn from others' experiences and get valuable advice on how you can improve your own financial situation. For example, you might discover new ways to save or make more money, invest wisely, or reduce debt in a way that you've never considered before. Plus, by being honest about your financial struggles and successes, you can create a supportive community that encourages you to stay on track with your goals. If you've made it this far through the video, I would love to be that friend to you. I want to create a supportive space and community where we can have these conversations and smash our financial goals together. So if you like this video, please give me a like and consider subscribing to my channel. Also, I've just started my YouTube journey, so if you have any feedback or suggestions on how I can do better, please let me know in the comments. Thank you and see you in the next video. Bye for now.